Hello everyone, my name is the Dude Around Doctor. Today, I wanted to talk about a review of Hazard. What his abilities are, what damage he can do, what he is capable of, and my thoughts on him. First, this is Hazard. Say hello, Hazard.
Hello!
We're going to be using him and our good old friend Lifeweaver, which they should be saying hello right about now.
Pleasure. Hey.
And they will be testing some things for us today. We'll be going over his kit, what he can do, and again, what he's capable of. First thing I'd like to talk about is his leap. It is called Violent Leap. It's on your left shift default. It does 80 slash damage, can't headshot. Has a pretty long range for a melee attack, although it is kind of an engagement tool. And it does some knockback. It's a pretty good engagement tool, a pretty good melee, and if you hit your melee button while you're doing it, you get to do 120 damage instead of 80 because it'll buffer a melee right after. You can also B-hop this, and Hazard tends to get a lot of value out of it, but not everyone knows how to B-hop, so I'll go over that real fast. B-hopping is basically just pressing space when you're in the air and not on the ground. The next thing about Hazard is his primary fire, Bone Spur. Bone Spur shoots 10 little pellets every 2.5 seconds-ish, and it does 2.03 per pellet, so 20.3 per shot. It has a 2 times headshot multiplier, and it's got pretty short fall-off range. It travels very fast, almost like Sojin's railgun. Not the railgun shots, but the primary fire of the railgun. And it seems to be affected by literally everything in the game. So, yeah, it does decent damage. It's not that great for confirming kills, but it works very well with his ult and his engagement tools and all that. And he can weave it in his combos quite easily. The next thing I'd like to cover is his passive, which is Vault. Who would have guessed? A Japanese character can wall climb in Overwatch. Who would have guessed? But now a Scottish person can. Vault lets him go up the wall, traveling about 6 meters-ish. But here's the thing. Most wall climbing characters, the Shimadas and Kiriko, can travel, as far as I'm aware, close to 12 meters up the wall. But he can only wall climb 6. Well, if you wall climb, then use your leap. It refreshes your wall climb. So now you can get slightly higher than 12 meters. So you can get pretty close or even further than they can. And that's not even adding the height that the leap will give you. You can also chain this into a wall climb, leap, wall climb, wall, and then when your cooldowns refresh, you can wall climb, leap, wall climb, wall again, letting you get up to very high ground in order to set up for some pretty funky combos. Now, is it practical to do all that? No, not whatsoever. But it is useful, especially for setting up before fights. The next thing I'd like to talk about is his wall. Yes, he can place a wall on the ground. Not only is it kind of shorter and thinner than Mei's wall, it is also capable of doing damage. It cannot headshot for obvious reasons, but it is a projectile. But the weird thing about it is it can't hit anything. It can hit barriers or get deflected or get sucked up by defense matrix, Sigma suck, whatever. But for some reason, it just passes straight through people. I think that's stupid. I think if it hits something on its way to its destination, it should entirely be capable of just hitting the person and doing the damage. And maybe breaking right after. If it's a projectile, it should not, at all, be capable of just phasing through things. Because that just deletes any sort of outplayability by putting yourself in the way of the wall. Now, is it probably obnoxious to have if it doesn't pass through people? Probably. But you should have to outplay it by having a different angle when you put the wall down. There is an option in the hero settings to have a pre-placement like Maze Wall where it will shoot it to its targeted destination. But if we have a pre-placement like that, why is it just not a pre-placement? Maze Wall can appear out of the absolute blue, so why can't his? I understand they want to make it different, but there's no reason why, let's say, a Brig or a Lifeweaver trying to shield bash or dash out of the way of the hazard should magically be able to not because he threw a projectile that they can't deal with straight through them. I don't think that's very fair, nor is it very fun. I understand Maze Wall has the same argument, but the problem is Maze Wall intentionally appears out of the blue. His is a projectile. You should be able to block it with your body. It is a projectile. But mini rant aside, Jagged Wall does 40 damage, has 350 health, a lot shorter and thinner than Maze Wall, though it has more. I guess it's not thinner. It's more like less long, but it is wider. It can cover more horizontal distance in the third dimension than Maze Wall can. Though not by much. It has infinite range, and you can't destroy it until it lands, obviously, with most deployables. The next thing I'd like to talk about is Spike Guard. This is basically a Doomfist block, but it's on a resource meter like Defense Matrix, and it blocks about as much as Ramatra. So, yeah, it's got a lot on it. I think it's got maybe a bit too much on it, but I'll get into the details, and then we'll talk about what it does. It basically blocks, give or take, 75% damage that you take, and it damages enemies a total of 12.5 per projectile. And it does just over 250 damage when you use the whole duration of the block, for a total of about 260. It fires the spikes in a cone, 1 bullet per enemy at a time. And the movement speed penalty is 50%, so you're half as fast while you do it. I think genuinely, if it has that damage reduction, and it's on a resource cooldown, and it blocks that much, it shouldn't do damage. Now, if it maybe wasn't on a resource, I could see it doing damage. But I don't think it needs to be on a resource, and it needs to be doing damage. I just don't think that's fair. Is it fun? Absolutely. It's really funny to just block and walk up to a squishy as they basically just fall over and die, because you will beat them even if you only use your block. You can literally just kill a squishy by not fighting them. And I just don't think that's fair. Now, granted, they might get healing or whatever, but in a one-on-one situation, what are they going to do? Just block. Problem solved. I don't think that's fair. Is that even good for the game? No, I don't think so. I think it's pretty bad for the game, especially because, again, you can literally just kill people by blocking, and I just don't think it's fair. His ultimate is Downpour. It has a pretty cheap cost. I've seen a lot of people use it quite often as Hazard, and it does 90 damage, and it has the widest area of effect I've ever seen on an ultimate. It is actually crazy how big it is. Not only that, but it goes through walls, it goes through roofs, it goes through floors, it goes through everything. It just, if anything is in that area at all, whether or not you're even in LOS, screw you. That's basically the button. Is it fair? Yes, because you're really not trapped for that long for an ultimate. Now, it can be blocked by barriers, defense matrix, deflect, what have you. But I just don't think it should go through walls, like genuinely. I don't know. Going through the map is kind of weird. Doesn't make sense that it can go through, solid fucking ground, but it can't go through a little bit of light. That seems a little bit odd. Just putting that out there. But it's a fun ultimate. Very fun because your whole team could go in. It's a fight winning all, but it's very cheap. Overall, his kit is very pseudo-divey. It's not as divey as a Winston or a Doom or a Ball, but it's in between dive and brawl. It's a soft dive tank, let's say, because most dive tanks, they can soft dive and hard dive. This is the only tank that I've seen that can only soft dive. Think of Ramatra. Ramatra's a mix between brawl and poke. This character is a mixture between dive and brawl. They are a soft dive tank. Ramatra is a tempo tank, as the devs call him. He would work absolutely amazing with a variety of characters. And he seems really fun to play. Now, is he my style? Absolutely not. I probably won't be playing him very much unless he ends up on the counter swap list for a tank. I am very much a Ramatra main, and I don't intend on swapping off of Ramatra for him. But do I see the appeal in him? Abso-freaking-lutely. Now, I had a bit of grievances earlier about his block and his wall. But if those things got fixed, I think he'd be super healthy for the game. Just don't think walls should go through people. Just don't think that. I don't agree. But overall, very impressed. He kind of looks like if Buzz Lightyear from Cyberpunk 2077. But fun. Definitely fun. Drax has had an absolute blast playing him. Drax has probably got, I think, 20 or 30 hours already clocked on him. It's crazy how much he's been playing Hazard. And it's great because, well, now Drax can actually play dive. Even if it's only soft dive. But yeah, my name is the Dude Around Doctor. That's all I have to say about this. And I will see you later. Bye.